3 rounds so far during the Tier 2 season, and we've had 3 different winners to kick this off. It's the first time we're running Spain in a couple of seasons in Tier 2. So, welcome along for the action tonight here. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and alongside me is the man who was here at round 1 for Tier 2, Lando for Norris, a Saudi Arabian Tier 2 podium sitter in the past. Welcome along, Lando. It's good to have you.
Yeah, I'm back. You know what that means? We're going to have another exciting Grand Prix, because whenever I'm in the booth, something crazy happens. And I love Spain. Everything about it. It's a driver's track. It really is. We're going to see so much action. And most importantly, you got to keep it on the black stuff. This track punishes track limits.
Yeah. By the way, just make sure you have your audio included, and I agree with you. This should be a decent race. This track is very harsh on the left side tires. Not only that, but we have lots of storylines to go over. I'm a little bit late in running behind due to trying to help Hunted sort the Tier 2 lobby. It was a little bit late, to be fair to a point Egg had made to me. I'll give him that. But yeah, that's why we started the stream just a little bit late. It's good to have everybody here and in chat and watching. I've given you an invite to the session. I don't know what everything looks like for the weather. We'll figure that out later, but I want to talk about a few things prior, therefore we get it out of the way, since I'm running a bit late as mentioned. Our Tier 3 winner yesterday, George Alp Williams, winning back-to-back in the tier. Congratulations to him winning yesterday. Last week in Austria, it was a bit of a confusing situation after I'd called the last lap early, but we figured it out, though. It was not only that, the confusing part. When George left the session and rejoined, as he was the host, it created a few glitches in the lobby, and that created some timing gap glitches. The top 3 after it was all over was John taking his first Tier 2 win, then Mintoki, and then Dill JG in third. So that is what has changed there. And the last time in Spain, our winner was Florian Van Zelter, though. So there's your stuff that we were meant to go over before all of our headlines, penalties, and changes. But as we were going to speak about, Lando, here for Spain, 3 rounds in, JTK leads the championship. This shall be an interesting one. Obviously, you mentioned already the tire wear, the black stuff. I'd even say the curbing, and especially down at the second to last corner, that invisible wall that kicks drivers off of the curb. There's going to be a lot of things we have to look out for tonight. We're going to try to go over this quickly with a lot of our headlines later on, but good to have you, and yeah, tell us about this track. You know a bit about it for sure.
Spain it's a driver's track, isn't it? It's all about commitment. You just gotta have a whole lot of confidence. This is what this track's about. Setting the laps, setting the pace, and most importantly, you have to keep it on the black stuff. Don't go wide. These curves will bite you back. And Charlie is just going absolutely crazy in the first sector. He's the first one that's going to be setting a lap here in just a couple moments. But
debut driver too, by the way.
Yeah, debut. She's got to do what she's got to do. But back to this track, it's just so much commitment. You have to just nail it, corner by corner. Don't get yourself overconfident, because that's what's going to kill you. Getting overconfident, as we see through the middle sector, that's a dangerous part of the track right there. The inside curve. Do not hit it. You will spin, as there's a Ferrari in the middle of the track. Get out of the way, please. Get all the slipstream, and now you'll get out of the way. Okay, into sector 3. This is where the infamous bump is. Now, hopefully, Charlie here doesn't do what we've seen online. He's running the curve, and he's safe. So he survived whatever bump is there. He goes through the final corner, just flat out. Battery about to run out. It's out now to the line. That's the first lap at 1:12.5.
And he'll give a Ferrari behind a tow and almost got very much in the way of him. That was Dill JG, by the way. He starts a lap. Now we're going to go on board with him as he comes to the first sector. Keep in mind, as well as you always hear every week, ERS management. How will drivers see that throughout their qualifying laps? Jordan, now Hunted, and soon to be John crossing the line. There are your first 4 drivers who set in here. Let's go over some headlines, Lando, and I'll get your thoughts on it. So Ardell, I don't know if he's in here or not for tonight's event. I don't think he is. He has a qualifying ban to serve at the next Grand Prix. Mintoki, after resolving her contract, has sat out now, which is going to be 2 races. She'll be full-time Red Bull for the rest of this season and next season, meaning Blugagi will probably have to drop down to V-Carb again. Wavy's now a reserve. So is Vibhaza. I think both of them are racing tonight. Mally is full-time in the Tier 2 Williams now. Jordan is full-time in the Mercedes. He's moved up to Tier 2 as well. Sam Gino's full-time at Mercedes. I don't think he's in the race tonight, if I'm correct about that one. It was supposed to be the other Jordan who's joined. And Robin, Rob, actually is the gamer tag. In this event tonight, full-time for Haas. That's only just part of our headlines, Lando, but he is the brother of Dill JG, who is just set third fastest.
Brothers off the racetrack, maybe enemies on the track, who knows? We'll find out in these closing moments, but one thing to point out very early in this session is both of the McLarens and Dill JG have a ton of time on the Mercedes of RPL Jordan. That's almost a second between each other. That is insane already. Now, whether or not RPL Jordan's had a mishap or whatever, as we see Blue Goggy jump himself in the P4 right behind Dill JG, but that is a questionable gap between Mercedes and the McLaren so far.
Jake Bandy also set a lap that's 8th fastest. He's a full-time Tier 3 driver. Same with FBL being a Tier 3 driver as a reserve. He's been called up to race for Sauber tonight. Speaking of Sauber, Lando, lots of controversy throughout the week from the Ferrari Academy, trading some of their drivers, Blonde being one of them. Blonde got traded to the Mercedes Academy. He was racing for Sauber full-time. So it's a bit interesting, though, that there's been a lot of talks about that, because that's not the only trade that has happened. You also got traded with Valkyrie in Tier 3. We'll talk about that a bit later, but congrats to you being at Red Bull now and full-time once again here. But with the trades that I was going to mention, it's definitely interesting because JNT's had a bit of a tricky time, whether it be keeping drivers or finding drivers. So the trades that have happened have definitely been a bit questionable. Bobby Lyons is one who's now a reserve for that academy, and Blonde was traded from this car to go to the Mercedes Academy as FBL and Garage. Both either reserving or on loan, 10th and 11th for Sauber.
Yeah, a lot of craziness happening within all the academies, really, but most notably the Ferrari Academy with all the trading. And does that put them on the back foot? Yeah, I think it does, because, as JNT, you have to get something out of all these trades, right? And realistically, that hasn't been happening for a while. The trade with me and Valkyrie, I guess you can say that was a good trade for both academies.
Yeah.
However, you'll only know until both drivers are on track and you start seeing what's going to happen.
Very true. Speaking of on track, Lando, Polo God and JTK both invalidated their laps. They're going to have to go again. And Rob on his debut as well, invalidated at the final corner. He would have had a 12.5. That would have put him just behind his teammate right there, which would have been a really good lap, by the way, too, for both Haas drivers. Something else to mention as well for tonight's event, Drift King, one of those drivers who also got traded. He's now at the Mercedes Academy full-time in Tier 3. He's racing in the Williams tonight, reserving for them. AMS Martinez also reserving. You have Gerard on loan, like we mentioned not too long ago. Jake Bandy reserving. We got debuts from Charlie, Martinez, who just went 6th, and Rob. So it shall be interesting to see how that all works. One other thing we did not mention from those different, I guess, negotiations. John continues full-time next season at McLaren once again. Red Fire at Mercedes full-time. And Red Bull get Mentalki not only for the rest of the season after her 2-race ban for the contract stuff, but also for next season. Those are 3 seats confirmed for next season. That shall be interesting to watch throughout tonight to see if drivers like Red Fire, John, and of course when she comes back, Mentalki, if they all can do well with that being said, Lando.
It's going to be very exciting to see just all these changes, all this craziness and drama. It really does feel like the middle of the season in real life in F1 as Wavy Knife in the Aston Martin has a shocking spin. But on the top, since we're about midway through the session, I'll tell you right now who I'm seeing as a back foot right now. It's Polo God. He invalidated the first lap, and as we were talking about driver transfers, in the middle sector, he's just completely, he's run off track. So right now, the Ferrari of Polo God extremely on the back foot, and in a Ferrari that is realistically should be on that front row or second row at best. Polo God is struggling very early in this session.
He very much is. And Red Fire Tiger is now on a lap. Let's go through this lap, Lendo. I'll give it to you about halfway through. Red Fire Tiger last week was scoring in both rounds so far up until Austria, where the game had quit him out and gave him that glitch that also Race Dainty in Tier 1 got last week. So for Red Fire Tiger, it's going to be a week of bounce backs. And now as he comes through 21-7, turn 4, little tricky here, but it's about the end of where we usually see the battles end up. We saw that happen in Tier 3 preseason. We saw that happen the last time Tier 2 raced here. Aston had a good race in both Tier 2 and Tier 1 when we've raced here on last game cycle. But as he comes to the middle sector now, you're going to want to be careful on these curbs. He's kind of sliding through, and he does invalidate. So already trying to bounce back is Red Fire now on the back foot. And JTK back out on track, but I'm just going to say right now, I think Polo God also needs to get back on a track if he wants to get 2 more laps in here, Lendo, because both guys on the back foot. I'm going to give it to you on John, who's on a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Both drivers on the back foot as we're watching John to 21-4 in the first sector. He's absolutely flying in that MCL 38. But looks like he's on a cooldown. It looks like he's just warming up, getting ready. So maybe there was a mistake somewhere on the track that he's just not wanting to do. As here we go, watch the ERS mode. Will it turn on into the final sector? Oh, he's just gonna
Hunted
box.
on a lap, by the way. Hunted, completing one. I should have transferred over to you after I saw John's mistake, Lendo, but overtake engaged. DRS applied across the line. He extends that gap. Hunted continues to impress, and you've just got to wonder, Lando, with his pace, surely Tier 1 is now on the cards for an announcement maybe later tonight. I won't be Christopher Bell this time.
Yeah, it's looking like it, but right now that McLaren of Hunted is just, everything's perfect. It's Dill JG going through the middle sector. He's 3/10 down.
Ooh.
And I think he's going to be boxing at the end of this time. There's no point in continuing this one.
If he's down, Lando, I'll have you take over on JTK now, because JTK is on a lap.
Here we go, JTK in the middle sector through turn 6. Gets right onto the red and white curve. And unbelievable through this corner. Does he keep committed? Yes, he does. Very nice indeed. Flat round here. No issues in that Red Bull down the straightaway. Into the technical sector 3. He's going to have a McLaren of, I believe that is Hunted, on a cooldown. He's going to get a very nice... Oh, the Red Bull slides!
Oh.
Using all the handling model to his advantage. Probably didn't give him an advantage. And now, 2 more corners. Commitment through here. Flat round here. Does he have enough battery to go for one final splurge? Flat round here. To the line. JTK is going to put that Red Bull up to second. A 10th behind the McLaren. Game on.
Well, considering that he made that mistake, Lando, it really is game on. And now we look at the other driver who was on the back foot, Polo God. Polo God, we go to him next after we were just on board with JTK, the driver he collided with in Austria. Polo God, it was originally the podium for him in Austria, but when the timing was all figured out, he was 33 thousandths behind Dill JG, his teammate. Good for the constructors with that swap from 3rd and 4th, but after all, Polo God still looking for that return to the podium for the first time since Season 9. Tier 2 Imola, his only other Tier 2 podium. Heavy braking now into turn 5 from the driver on the inside curb, then going to go to the outside curb, but he just is on the limit right there, not invalidating. Very lucky right there, but maybe a small lockup into this area. You got to be careful on those curbs, because those yellow curbs, you can also nickname the Verstappers, because that's exactly what it did to Max Verstappen before in the past, and it will do the same to you. Final sector now for Polo God, 50% in the battery. I would expect him to use ERS in the main straight, Lando, but for Polo God, he surely has to go quick here and get back into the pits and hope his teammate doesn't get in the way of that, because he may get one more lap in here. This being his banker, and a very late banker, across the line now, 7th.
Yeah, a 6th actually for the Ferrari Jets. It's a start. That's, you know, all things considered, how bad it's gone for him so far. It's a start, but now he needs to rush around the track, get into the pits, get the fresh set of softs in, and go out again. He needs this. This is what he needs now. Absolute commitment on the second lap. No limits for this Ferrari driver.
Wavy Knife goes 9th fastest. There was also somebody else, I believe, who crossed the line not too long ago, either it was to start a lap or whatever it may have been, but Vibe Haza calls it quits. He's one of our first ones to do so. Chat, make sure you get your poll predictions in with less than 4 minutes now remaining in the session. There's 15 of you watching. It's good to have you all here for tonight. Lots of things to talk about. 19 drivers, Lando, and for a tier yesterday, it looked like it was going to have 14, 15 maybe for attendance. We really did get some reserves in last moment for some of the drivers missing today's event.
Yeah, it's always good to have full grid no matter how you have to fill the grid, no matter which way or how really you want to do it. As long as you can get a full grid of drivers that are relatively close within each other, I think it's good for all rounds, you know. Yeah, people can miss races all the time, but it's good that we have all these people, you know, just in case the inevitable where multiple full-time drivers can't make it, as we're about to watch maybe a masterclass of a lap here. Hunted LAX is coming around to you, Ryan, to start what seems to be his final run of the day. Can he keep it on pole?
Overtake applied, DRS applied on the run down to turn 1. You've just got a question. If this is Hunted's last race tonight in Tier 2 before anyone gets moved up, if anybody does, it would be him. A lot of talk about drivers being moved up. The thing about that is Hunted has backed off. We'll continue to talk about Hunted before we get to Dill JG, our next driver to try and go for pole. I just want to say, if anybody's going to be moved up next, or maybe last of the rest of the drivers this season in all tiers, it would be Hunted. And why would that be? Well, a lot of drivers have spoke about his insane pace in time trial. It may just be time trial, but he has translated it quite a bit to these races. And although the McLaren is quite fast, he's outperforming that car. And just like we saw in Tier 1 Australia last week, Lando, Hunted did do a well of a job, besides the track limit penalties. I am suggesting he's getting moved up to Tier 1, but I would, if he were to get moved up, I would have to assume that'd probably be the last move of the other drivers getting moved up.
Yeah, absolutely. As now, here we go, the final runs. The cars are coming out for one more run. And it's going to be AMS Martinez going to be the first one to challenge this Barcelona track.
Ooh.
Through Sector 1 he goes. There's an Aston Martin
Hold
off-roading.
on. There was Dylan's brother, I just want to mention this, who has no front wing, and luckily gave him a slipstream, but almost chopped his wing off. On the main straight that was, too.
And as you can see on the track map, oh, McLaren! Somebody's gone off into McLaren!
Hunted. That's going to be it from him. He's not going to have a chance to redeem himself for pole position unless he can get back to the line in time, but he might be cutting it close. And you got to remember the fuel situation for him as well. Lando, Dylan is 39 thousandths down in the the first sector, excuse me. We're going to end up going to our pole guys for our final runs. How about you take it away with Dill JG now? In fourth place, trying to go for pole.
Absolutely flying in this Ferrari. This is it. This is make or break it. The McLaren of Hunted has had a mistake. This could be their only chance. He's a 10th down. Can this Ferrari find any time? Oh, he's backed off. He's going to try one last.
But he's got no battery. He's got no battery, though, even if he were to go for another one.
It's cooked. He's done.
John.
He's got a good chance behind him.
7,000 up. 7,000 up, John is Lando. He comes to the second sector split now, using that overtake, and he is up, now down. He was up in the first sector, now down in the second sector. A little bit of wiggle from John. John has mentioned his final run being a treacherous one, and I'm going to guess he may have backed off here for this one. So drivers making lots of mistakes in their final run as JTK and Polo God set up their final run. Same with Dill JG now getting out of the way for a slipstreaming Haas behind him. Hunted gets the line in time. John, though, I think is doing his second one, but has no battery.
Yeah, and it's also just not a good lap from the McLaren either. That's
Jordan,
really deep
sixth.
in the midfield.
Kipu, 8th.
Oh, God goes across the line to finish his lap. 3rd for the Ferrari.
4th, actually. 4th, just behind JTK.
Oh, yeah, my timing screwed up.
Oh, boy. Well, we got two Astons coming around. Red Fire's up by 3/10. This could be a top 7 starting spot. Wavy comes first, though. 8th for Wavy. He seems to be doing better in the Aston compared to the wakes of the Mercedes. The Sauber comes next. That's Garage could not improve. Red Fire's next. 3/10 up. Now invalidates. But that would have been an 11.6. That would have put him just in front of Wavy, but behind Jordan. Here come the Red Bulls. Blue Goggy and JTK, who goes to pole position.
And Goggy's going to put his Red Bull in well, whatever one place down is, because my timing screwed up. But JTK on pole position. But here comes the McLaren. Can he do anything to the line? He does.
Oh
Hunted
my
on
goodness.
pole.
Hunted claps back at the last moment and gets his 9th pole position, tying the all-time record of Reese Dainty's there.
By 0.3 of a second, the McLarens are 1 and 3. John's
Wow.
up there.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Wow. Something we did not
Where did
expect,
that
but
come
Hunted.
from?
Hunted put it out at the last moment and made it work. 9th pole position.
Unbelievable.
That equals the most all-time in this tier.
That's incredible. What a lap by both of them.
I think John timed it perfect because look at John right behind. Was he towing along quite the lap, or was he just following Hunted through the whole way there?
I wonder. I think Hunted might have had enough of a tow to where he didn't get affected by the dirty air, because John, I think, was also on another push lap. So I believe both McLarens have just absolutely perfected this.
Well, time for the Grand Prix. I apologize for missing Hunted and JTK's lap completely. I only saw just a small snippet of what they were able to do, clicking onto other drivers coming across the line and not getting to them in time. But Hunted, speaking of time, he did it the right time there. Pole position for them. McLaren in a good spot as well. 2nd in the constructors compared to Ferrari, who still lead. They needed it.
Absolutely, and you know, Polo God, who was on the back foot early on in this qualifying, I think he redeemed himself a little bit there in the 2nd row of the grid. But now it's the Grand Prix. You know what time it is. It's time. No more one lap pace. It's down to race.
And just remember, as Mentaki acknowledges in chat, Hunted did this on used tires. That's even more impressive. Hunted on pole, JTK 2nd, John in 3rd, Polo God, then Dill JG, Blue Goggy, Jordan, Wavy, Kipu in the top 10. Quite impressive from Kipu. And Red Fire rounds it out. Red Fire would have improved, but coulda, shoulda, would at this point with Red Fire's case. Amos Martinez on debut in 11th. Rob, Dill JG's brother in 12th. Another debuting driver in 13th. Jake Bandy back here. Drift King Vibe has not too representative on their laps, but they can always recover come the race, and we'll find out if they have anything go on. So no formation lap for the event tonight compared to usual in Tier 2 with Hunted hosting, but we have a little bit of time before we have drivers getting into their strategies and everything. We'll speak about the standings quickly then. JTK leads the championship over John by 8 points. Dill JG's in 3rd now. Mentaki and Tadpole are in 4th and 5th, but I think their championship hopes are over. So maybe a 3-horse race now we're expecting. The same could be maybe said in the Constructors' Lando, where Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull are the teams 1, 2, 3 in proximity of each other, but only by 20 points there. We've got 25 seconds till the run-up. Dry race completely. What are we expecting here?
What are we expecting? Well, I'm expecting a lot of action, but for strategy, I wonder who's gonna try to start on the softs. Who feels a little racy today?
5 seconds.
Who's looking very nice indeed? I'm looking maybe at Martinez. I'm looking at the back half of the grid to make some noise. I think everybody in the front is gonna do it, but here we go. You know what time it is. It's the Spanish Grand Prix. It's
5 red
beginning now.
lights. We're about to kick it underway for the first time at the circuit in a few seasons. Lights out, away we go. You can already see some movement from Hunted and John. John up to 2nd place already. A lot of weaving and bobbing and moving around in the midfield. Here comes the Ferrari of Polo God in the middle. JTK, a horrible start. And now 3 wide, and that's Blue Goggy getting tagged. Red Fire, I believe, also got collected as well. Multiple cars having to take evasive action at the back of the field for so much trouble there from really 6th on back. You can see who's taking advantage. Jordan, Charlie, Martinez, Kipu, now Goggy down to 10th. Both Aston Martins outside the points, but a critical start from a lot of these guys. And Blue Goggy's getting tapped from the Haas. That is Rob. Kipu now is side by side there. Charlie and Jordan, there may have been contact there. Jordan was ghosted. A lot of action happening on this start, and you can now see the positions gained on the side of our screen. Charlie up 7.
Yeah, absolutely dream start by Charlie and Martinez, up to 6th and 8th for the V-Carb and the Haas, but it was all argy-bargy in the first corner. Goggy got hit with about 6 cars, and it all started, I think he locked the rear up as JTK and Polo got scrabbing out and back in the middle, in the final sector. It's all McLaren 1-2, but the Ferraris are coming and they're hungry. They're all over JTK. Polo gets through. JTK, that's going to be track limit warning already as all the drivers fanning out down the straight. We're looking at Dill JG on the back end of the Red Bull. He's going to go for the move. JTK looks to make a half move on Polo, but it's a defensive move. Switcheroo. No, he's going to hang around the outside. That is dangerous. Into the gravel goes the Ferrari.
And now for our lead, is John going to go for it on the teammate? Are we going to see Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton recreated into turn number 4? We are not. Luckily enough, the McLaren boys playing nice with each other, but Dill JG, JTK, and Polo God, all drivers who battled out last week in Austria, not playing so nice. We have a tag. That is JTK getting tagged right there from the back of Dill JG. Right there, or from the front of Dill JG into the back of JTK right there, and JTK is struggling. JTK now side by side with Dylan here through the end of Sector 2. This could be a treacherous place to go side by side, but those hards for JTK are not good at all. Here comes Charlie having a look. Charlie's had an amazing start on the softs, but he cannot get another place for good measure.
Yeah, this is a nightmare right now for JTK. He needs to survive, but he's just getting ran into left, right, and center. But now, here we go, down the main straight on both of the McLarens. This was crucial for Polo to get within the DRS. He's not gonna. Here we go, John down the straightaway. It's an easy swap for the lead. This is a dream start for McLaren. Now you could be said for Ferrari, who are 3 and 4, lurking behind. But JTK just needs to survive. He needs a couple laps. Just look at that behind Goggy and Jordan going at it.
Rob and Wavy going at it as well. Vibe has had an absolute appalling start. He's spun out 3 different times and might be going a lap down here soon. I also saw some movement maybe from AMS Martinez there on Blue Goggy. Both drivers, though, either having a really good start or a really bad start, and it has shown Goggy for a horrible start, Martinez for a good start. But now, Dill JG has lost touch with the pack of cars here, and it's really affected those guys in chasing up at the front of the field. It's a battle with John Hunton and Polo, and that was a spin there from Drift King at the back.
Yeah, and Polo's just gone back into the DRS, so now it's a 3-horse race. Can Dill JG get up there? As, wow, both of the Williams just having an absolute shocker. But how about Charlie in the Haas all over the back end? Expecting a retire in the pit lane any second now. There it is. But look at the Red Bull, just cruises away from the Haas. What a run by JTK. Now we go down the front stretch.
No overtaking, though. You can't overtake with those yellow flags.
People need to stop retiring in the pit lane. It's lap 3 of a Grand Prix. Into turn 1, too far back. But we got to move further back. Wavy versus Rob. Wavy's going to get by. But is Rob going to make a move? Can he get the switcheroo? He's looking high. He's looking low. He's going to touch him.
Whoa.
Bump. In the turn 4, Rosberg Hamilton moment. Are we going to see it? No. Very well disciplined by both drivers.
Well, we also had SSR William and Redfire Tiger dueling it out in the background, but I think all is settled there. Redfire Tiger, poor start. Wavy, poor start, but Wavy is making up for it, though, to give him some credit. And at the front of our field, Lando, it's going to be race strategy at the end of this, though, because it's McLaren versus Ferrari. Dill JG getting a little closer, but not close enough, though. With these guys hunted on the mediums, the other two on the softs. And Rob not going to go for it there into Sector 3.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing because you need to have a significant pace advantage around this track to really be safe. As both Williams just having a disaster class so far. But we look down the main straight. Is Hunt gonna make a move on his teammate? No, it looks like he's very content with riding back. We look further down. JTK ever so closely on the Ferrari of Dill JG. Nothing happening there. Charlie losing a little bit of touch. But everyone's staying very well content, and I believe now the DRS train is really turning the form as William, I believe, just holds off on the Aston Martin of Redfire Tiger.
Jake Bandy also went through an FPL. That's a battle at the back of this field. These guys don't always get the attention racing at the back of the field and also in their back marker cars, but they do deserve the credit, though, for at least trying the best they can to get to points. And we now have a double Williams retirement. Drift King and Vibe Haza are both out of this Grand Prix. We've lost both them in the first 5 laps. They've not had the day that they would have wanted. But John leads. Hunted still second. Polo got there. Dill JG even losing more time, though. 2.2 behind compared to being about 1.4 behind. And you just saw from Polo's on board there, a big wiggle into Sector 3. That's not good.
Yeah, and I think earlier in the party we were talking with Polo, and Polo said if you can get these softs to at least a good amount into the Grand Prix. A one-stop is possible, and it is the fastest strategy. So it's all about tire conservation as John pulling a little bigger of a gap on his teammate. Shouldn't be nothing scary, though, as we're going to look further. JTK, again, hunting down the Ferrari of JG. This is the closest he's been all in the last couple laps. Is he going to go for a move? Nah, he backs out of it. We look further down. No action really happening, but how about this? JTK got a nice run into turn 4, but it won't matter because people love to retire so early in the Grand Prix. So there's yellow flags, so we won't see any moves happen. We'll have to wait.
Yeah, we will have to wait, and it is really getting a little silly with some guys retiring in the pit lane to the point where it does cause yellow flags to where these guys cannot overtake. If you're going to retire, at least have a decent reason for it. I'm hoping Drift King and Vipaza can provide a decent reason for that, but a big moment from JG. They're losing the rear. You could tell so far at the start of this game cycle, he's really struggled, but him and Polo and Ferrari, they got to do what they can for the constructor's sake, leading the championship. Tadpole mentioned earlier in chat, making it sound like I'm slow and just not driving. Tadpole's another one of those drivers who moved up to Tier 1. Same with JNT Gaming, 2 previous Ferrari drivers earlier this season.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial right now that JG gets a little bit of breathing room, but when you have a Red Bull like JTK behind, it's nearly impossible. This should be a one-and-done move. Here comes JTK, gaining all the time on the straightaway as his further moves behind. That is Martinez looking for a move on Goggy. Goggy gives up the spot. Something's happened as Jake gets a 3-second. It's all kicking off in the midfield.
If Goggy's giving up that spot, he surely has to be thinking Martinez is that much faster and can follow through when he overtakes Jordan later on. I would have to assume that's the case. But right now, standout driver besides Martinez, Charlie. We've talked about him a bit. 6th place on debut. He's doing a well of a job and keeping within DRS of JG and JTK. Speaking of DRS, I think Polo God is just barely falling out of DRS of the McLarens. But I think he's going to do a really good job here, Polo, of giving the McLarens a fight today. Although he's out of it, though, I don't really expect him. I don't really expect him to be staying out of this for long, though, because look at this, only a 10th out of it now. If he can gain this time in the last sector, which the Ferrari should be better than the McLaren, and he can get back in it, but it just looks like he's just barely out of it. If Hunted and John overtake this time, though, I think Polo could get back in it. Just depends on if they do it at a timely rate. Here we go in the main straight. Overtake button engaged from Hunted. I think he's going to look for it now. We got a crash. Wavy, Martinez at the back, but for a race lead, Hunted is through and back ahead.
Yeah, whatever's happening in the 3rd sector has really messed up Martinez's race. He had an absolute perfect start, got through all the carnage, but now it's back into recovery mode. He's not too far off of that next train as John ever looking so more closely to that back end of the McLaren, but JTK isn't really blowing JG out of the waters. The hard tires may be starting to kick in a lot, and look at the traction compared to the Ferrari right now. Have the Ferraris blistered their tires just a little too much. And how about Charlie? You know, he's in a Haas, he's in a backburner car, but he's holding on to these people. This is a damn good effort right now by this Haas driver.
I would agree with that, and you know what? He maybe has a chance to take another place or
How
two.
about Kipu? Kipu in the background.
Yeah, Kipu had something happen at the start there as well, trying to avoid Goggy and the other Aston Martin there in the squabble they had. William has overtaken AMS Martinez. I don't know if Martinez has any damage from this incident at all that happened. He does not, but we have a move. Wavy Knife trying to recover the lost ground for a 2nd time through on the Kick Sauber. But for our lead, 4/10 is the gap, mediums versus softs, and to something you were saying, Polo God is definitely at the DRS now. Surely no recovering his way back in it, unless there's a mistake from both McLarens.
Speaking of mistakes, I believe John all but ate all the inside curve there in turn 2. But again, Polo's just fading away. Has the Ferrari just killed his tires a little too much on the start? Because JTK is starting to reel back in the Polo.
But either way, I was just going to say DRS now with Charlie, Jordan, Goggy, Kipu, this train here for points. I mean, if you think about the fact that, well, this race kind of got opened up after the whole Goggy shenanigans and also Aston having their troubles, you have teams like Haas and Alpine who have a good chance at points now. You were going to say?
Yeah, and it looks like Charlie's just starting to fade a little bit away from JG. He doesn't have DRS in the batteries, it's just not looking good. This might be shaping up here on the front stretch to be at least a 2-car overtake. Goggy and RPL Jordan looking to round up the Haas's remains here in the closing stages of this first stint, possibly. Both of the McLarens going down the main straight. Maybe a swap coming at the end of the straight. We'll have to see that. But right now, we're on board with Charlie in the Haas. One defensive move. He's going to the left. Is he going to keep to the left? He's made his mark. Through goes Jordan in the Mercedes. A nice and easy move. Valiant effort, but it's not over yet. Oh, wow. That was a little too off track for the Haas driver. And Goggy gets a nice square exit. This is Goggy's chance if he wants to stay with Jordan. Here he goes to the inside. Haas versus Red Bull, but look at the battery, look at the surge of horsepower the Haas got there out of turn 3 in the 4, and Charlie's just going to survive for at least another couple corners. Or is he?
Is Goggy
going to make a move?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna, but he didn't. And Wavy Knife now battling SSR William, plowing into the back of the V-Carb driver here, shoving him along here. Does he make this dummy move down the inside? Yes, he does. Lay on the brakes and slides into William. Wavy does. That was big contact. Wavy, third issue this race that he's had.
That is an interesting move. Was the move
I would say it was a fair one.
It was fair.
He made it known before the braking zone he was going to go for it. He didn't do it too late, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We have Polo God pitting. This may be early, but find a way to beat the McLarens, who are now swapping on the main straight. John takes over P1 over Hunted, but the McLarens, with Polo pitting, have to work together. Goggy, Kipu, Charlie battle down the main straight. Goggy throwing Kipu and Charlie, but Polo God goes onto the hard tires.
Yeah, I think that's the call now. I think, like I said earlier in the day, you have to just you have to mature those soft tires. You have to just aid them. And I think Polo's just gone a little too hard. And look at the damage it's caused. He's behind the. Oh my God! Big contact. Polo survives it, but man, oh man, was that tight.
And Wavy has had another off, this time for the 4th time this race. This is not going well for Wavy. I thought he had really good pace from qualifying, but the trouble around other drivers during the race is really encountering itself right now. That's not good. I just missed the end of that. My apologies. I'm really doing bad with that today.
Yeah, I just saw the track map and I saw the Ferrari in between cars. I was like, oh, let me look at that real quick. But let me tell you, Kipu almost got a 2-for-1 move down the front stretch a lap ago, and I mean, Kipu, all season he's been quiet, and he's been making very nice moves, and let me tell you, this man, absolutely perfection right now. And it's the McLaren of John's in. The soft runner starting to fade out, going on to what seems to be, let's see, going on to the hard compound tire, the race tire, as people would call it now. And as we look where Polo is on the track compared to John, I don't think it's going to be even close. Considering that Polo had that little incident. Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Yeah,
that must have affected him really badly. I just saw the end of that. I must have been in contact with Wavy right there, I'm going to guess.
Oh, and a nightmare for Charlie because the Haas team wasn't ready. They double stacked. Oh, no, that was Rob, my bad. Rob got double stacked and just caught on the blunt end of it.
So unfortunate. So unfortunate right there for them guys. Wavy Knife into the pit lane, onto the hards. I was going to think that was going to be a retirement, but I have to give Wavy fair credit for continuing on right now with all that has happened in his race. Gerard's onto the softs, though, Lando. Would that be a bit bold?
I think that is a questionable strategy. Maybe he's praying for some kind of carnage to happen, but it's obviously, you're in the Sauber. You're not looking to win. Maybe try to get something crazy as yellow flags in Sector 1. That's for the Astons, who just seem to have nightmares come in left, right, and center. As we have Bill JG in the box into the hard tires. Now let's look where he's going to come out. Is he going to be really far behind his teammate? Oh yeah, look at that. The Ferrari Polo just already down the final corner. Let's see how much time this is going to be. Through goes Polo, and off goes the limiter of Dill JG. We look at the gap. And
2 seconds, maybe?
It's not that far. Polo's little incident there with one of the Astons. I don't know which one it was.
Wavy had to been.
But look at this. John and Martinez. Woo! Feisty. Is John gonna look for a move? He's gonna go. He's trying to switch back, and look how much time this is costing John. This is screaming JTK all over it. Oh!
5 tenths in one corner. Big wiggle. But now John to the inside, side by side here. You saw him trying to go for it and send it, but now with the DRS and the overtake, he does the up and under, and now goes to the inside line. Wavy knife out of this race, so there will be no overtaking on the main street when they get there, but John doesn't want to wait till they get there. He goes through on Martinez right there, cracking stuff from those guys, but Goggy and Hunted, they're into the pit lane for the first time this race, blinking first of those guys in the midfield battle. Goggy is.
How much has that hurt? How much has that hurt John though from Martinez? Is Martinez going to try to go for another move? We look where the McLaren is. There's Hunted. So definitely hurt them. But look at Martinez gaining. Is he going to try to keep playing the game? He's going to dive it, and he can't get there. That could have been a monumental accident.
I have to wonder, did Polo God overtake William under the yellow flags on the main straight, or was it at the right moment? Charlie and FBL had it coming together. FBL is in the runoff. He re-enters ahead of Gerard and Rob there. Well, far ahead. He's 13 seconds ahead as they overtook each other there.
Yeah, more yellow flags is, I think it's just the Aston playing safety car games over there, just running around at 30 miles an hour. But nonetheless, JTK could become the big winner out of all this, considering that John had an absolute masterclass. Oh my god! JTK, and speaking of how this could be an advantage for him, almost loses the car in the third sector.
My goodness, I've been paying attention to the battles right there. Did not expect JTK to have something happen while he was alone in the lead. Jordan, Kipu. Yup, and Polo God now has William and DRS of him, and Dil JG further behind. Let's see what happens there in this battle.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see the V-carb of SSR William doesn't have the DRS. We look further ahead at Polo, and up ahead of him is Martinez with 14-lap-old medium tires. What game is he going to try with Polo? We've seen what kind of defensive driving Martinez has put out on John. What's going to be said for Polo God coming up here in about a couple corners?
Charlie threw in Blue Goggy, but Blue Goggy wants back at it. He's going to try the long way and then maybe dip to the inside. No, Charlie holds on and uses the overtake button to also still hang on into turn 4. They got Kipu in front of them. It just came out of the box as well. And I think actually Kipu did overcut those guys actually.
What a job by Kipu. Again, this man is quiet, but let me tell you, when he's there, he shows up out of nowhere. And right now, Kipu is making Alpine look like one of the best teams. And how about Charlie? Also with a crazy drive so far, as Blue Goggy is just tasting all money Graham all over us. Here we go, down the backstretch. Haas versus our Red Bull powertrain, dives to the inside. Goggy goes. He's a Red Bull driver. He's going to go for it. He forces him off. Verstappen-esque. How about that from the Red Bull driver? Can he get Kipu in a couple corners time? Oh no, he's going to give up the spot. Look at this sportsmanship. Sportsmanship almost turns into an accident.
Whoa, I was just going to say Polo God just got AMS Martinez. That's crucial for this race. But as you mentioned, maybe with Hunted, though, this time it's with Polo, or sorry, John it was earlier. Martinez back at it and overtakes Polo God there. And Blue Goggy and Charlie go at it again.
Absolutely crucial that Polo can get by, and Dil JG needs to get by too. This is really all the melody. This can determine whether JTK can get a shot at the McLaren. The up and under by God. Not Goggy. Polo. What a move by the Ferrari drivers. Dil JG gonna do something. No, he doesn't. But what a move by Polo God in the Ferrari. He needs that. But it's Martinez. Look at Martinez. He's gonna go for a move. Oh, almost makes it. That would have been one heroic ass send by the V-Carb driver. Now into turn 8. I think this is turn 8. I don't know what corner this is. Is Martinez? Oh, he's not close, but here comes Dil JG into the third sector. They squeeze. Side pod in the front wing. Oh my God! Look at Martinez. Look at the traction on the tires.
Very, very feisty to go back up the inside. They're going to remain wheel to wheel into the final couple of corners, and they bang! They do make contact. Dil JG in front, Martinez behind. They both get the DRS on Polo, but that was surely track limits for Martinez, who's wasting all this battery he has left here, which is basically nothing in the tank. And you can see William dip to the pit lane, but Dil JG and Polo got 5.5 behind John, who is 1.7 now and out of touch on Hunted, our race leader, when things cycle out.
I mean, look how much this does not only hurt both Ferraris. Jordan is coming in. He's not too far back from this. Can the Mercedes do something about this? This is all to play for the final podium spots. We are not done, ladies and gentlemen. Anything can happen, and we're only 17 laps in.
Oh boy. Well, we've had some drivers give their input on the race so far in the chat. I know Wavy Knife is one in the Discord server, at least is not happy with 4 different drivers. So he'll definitely have a talk with them after today's race, and reasonably so.
Oh,
Jake Bandy
here we
has
go.
gone off. He was near FBL. I don't know if he spun off on his own or if there was contact. It looks like he's trying to get back going, or at least an AI. Maybe clipping the incident first.
JTK in the box, in the medium tires. Let's see where he falls out. Is he ahead of the Ferraris? Has Martinez done the Sergio Perez of Sergio Perez?
Boy.
There's both Ferraris at the top of your screen. Down the straightaway we go. Pit limiter off. All the momentum.
Wow.
There's the Ferraris, and he's done it. Martinez with an absolute masterclass to keep both Ferraris at bay, to give JTK not only a secured podium at this rate, but maybe one hell of a chance to win this Grand Prix.
That is impressive. And you know what as well, Lando? This is also crucial for the championship. John is in second. JTK is in third. That's only a 3-point gain right there from John. Prior to this race, 8 points was the difference between the two in the championship. Game on between JTK and John for this championship. Yellow flag. That's Jake Bandy around again. But Rob takes 11th place. Gerard's is there, fighting it out now with Red Fire Tiger, who's trying to recover this race after a poor start. Down the inside, pushing his way through, and Red Fire Tiger is through and ahead. Now his next target is Rob, but that is yellow flags right in front of the leaders there, so this is going to affect them. But with JTK now 3.9 behind, he has a really big chance to regain this gap that really he didn't have a chance to gain on before. With him being 3.8 now back, he's on the better tire. He has a chance. The McLarens, though, they need to do their favor here in this position, but we got to move down the main street, possibly coming. You got Dill, JG, and Polo, then Martinez and Jordan. Side by side, Jordan really pinching now. Martinez and Jordan both pinching.
He's got to go off.
Jordan ahead. That was tight. And it was Martinez who was pinching mainly down the main straight. Jordan pinching back. But Gagi and Kipu now, 2 good mates there for 8th place, trade the spots. And Lando, I hate to say it, but we've lost a 4th different driver from this race. That is Jake Bandy.
Yeah, it really is a shame, but maybe his excuse might be more warranted. That Alpine was all over the place. And Rob looking for a move on Red Fire Tiger. These two have been at it all race. No movement showing up, but how about this? RPL Jordan smells the top 4. He sees it in the distance. He could do this. He knows he could do this. He just needs to get by them. Martinez has played not only a very defensive game, and I dare say it's on the limit, but it was clean. He's also just helped out about 3 different drivers.
But the thing is with Martinez, though, is that he already realized after his spin that he had with Wavy, his race is over, basically. He has to hope for a safety car at this rate, and you could already see the fastest lap. We'll get to that in a moment. But for Martinez's case, Lando, why not stay out and help your teammate then if your race is already in the bin? Here come the Ferrari teammates. Are they going to swap it down the main straight? No. The smarter thing would just be to stay in behind and just try to pull away from Jordan. But are you costing yourself time doing that? Kipu ahead of Bulugagi now down the main straight, but JTK 2.6 away from John, but John losing lots of time to our race leader Hunted. Just the question is, though, as Bulugagi has spun, or no, that's Martinez who's spun, excuse me. Martinez around. Doesn't have a puncture, but that is troubling there for Martinez. I was just going to say...
Rob almost goes round 2. He's saved it. What a save.
Good driving for him to keep it off the wall there as Gerard is in. I was just going to say, Lando, although with John losing time to Hunted and losing lots of it, with that being said, is he just pulling it easy and realizing his race will be with JTK here? JTK, who just set the fastest lap, now 4.6 behind our race leader. We'll keep an eye on that gap while we watch our battles here through the midfield and at the front.
If I'm John, and I see a Red Bull behind me, I'm going to be real. I'm trying to go for as much time as you can. Really, you just need to survive at least 6, 7, 8 laps. Because how long will these medium tires last? How long will we have this pace advantage over both McLarens? This is all about JTK getting through both McLarens in a steady amount of time. Just like how we saw in real life in Imola with Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Can JTK do an offset and still come out in front as Martinez says, oh, that's a shame. He's called it quits.
That's the 5th one. That's the 5th one.
Wow.
Wow.
This is his debut race? That's not a good look for him. I mean, It, yeah, he had some issues, but like he was fast, and you just give
Yeah,
up like that? Come on.
I was definitely interested to see if he could have beat his teammate SSR William after everything had cycled out. I really thought he would have had a chance to do so. Wow.
It's a lot of immaturity.
I said this in Bahrain, Lando, and a lot of people will take it out of context and think it's a worse word than it is. But if you look up the definition, I'll say it again. This is really starting to niggle me. The amount of people retiring in the pit lane. That's 5 drivers. This has happened 2 weeks in a row, though.
Yeah,
He
it's
said
a
he got
shame,
rear wing
man.
damage. Fair. That's a fair
Okay.
reason. Fair reason. Fair
I'd
reason.
like to see proof, just in case.
I would
but
too.
I will take the word for it.
I will take the word for it too, but also, speaking of words, will Ferrari have some words with Polo, who is going ahead of Dil JG now, but was that the right call now, with him being on 2-lap later tires? Dil JG on 2-lap younger tires, and Jordan 2-lap younger tires than Dil JG right there. Big battle, but speaking of big battles, we had a big battle just moments ago, earlier on with Kippu and Gagi. And Kippu made a mistake, he fell back, but now Kippu's close back in, so Gagi, similar to Bahrain, questions have to be asked here. We know he's going to be put to V-Carb likely when Mentelke goes up to Red Bull, but why was Gagi put in Red Bull in the first place? Why did they let Jordan go so easy when he's ahead in the Mercedes, which is a worse car, and Gagi is right there, fighting Alpine once again? This should be interesting to see what kind of questions are raised for Blue Gagi. Kippu, though,
Oh
with the penalty.
no, not Kippu, no!
Wow.
Come on, no, Kippu!
Well,
Oh,
you have someone else to root for,
all
Lando.
the advantages on Gagi. Oh, but here
You
we
have
go.
Yep, JTK.
JTK versus Sean John now in the front stretch. Here we go. Can McLaren
Championship
hold on?
rivals.
This isn't even going to be a challenge. Or will it be a challenge? Here we go. Mercedes versus RPL powertrain. Yeah! Up the front stretch goes JTK. He's through one McLaren.
Wow.
Can he get the other?
And he has 10 laps to do so. The difference here, obviously, being with him and Hunted, a strategy difference. Dil JG and Polo God, they swap it around the main straight once again between the pair. And now Blue Gagi and Kippu are now just going from left to right down the main straight, pulling each other along from the left side to the right side to the left side of the track. And just having a bit of fun here for 7th place. They realize their race is really over to get a top 6 after the lap 1 shenanigans, but really, this will be interesting to see how it all fans out with the penalty that Kippu has. Can Charlie get up there and get up to the top 8 on debut?
I'll tell you what, that Haas driver Charlie is absolutely going crazy. This Rob is another one that picks up a 3-second time penalty. As now, does John have an answer on JTK? Can he stay within the DRS? This could give him a chance at the win, maybe. We're looking here. Where's the DRS? Oh, no, that's ruined his chance immediately. A slide from the back end of the McLaren. And that's just going to give JTK all the more confidence to chase down the other papaya-powered machine. And the fastest lap is set, a 13-1.
Game on. It has to be said, JTK has actually really pulled off some great race pace. But if you're JTK, you know this win will be thanks to the RB driver of AMS Martinez giving a lot of help there. He is part of it, but JTK is also part of it on the strategy, and part of the overtaking has now been done, but Polo runs off the road, and Dil JG is there to challenge. Jordan ran in the back of Dil JG. How's this squabble going to go? Down to turn 4. Jordan's there to make the move. Jordan has Dil JG now defending, but everything is all calm and settled come the time of turn 4. And it's a race on here for 4th now because of it.
They've absolutely awoken RPL Jordan. That's the one thing the Ferrari drivers couldn't afford to do is trip over each other and make mistakes like that. Both Ferrari drivers need to work together, but it's too hard. They seem to have similar pace and they just can't seem to figure anything out right now. And this is screaming RPL Jordan. And here we go down the straightaway. It's just nothing between the two Ferraris, and the Mercedes is just like, I will take whatever you can give me. But is this one going to be easier? I think Jordan's got a chance to get one of these Ferraris here real quick. We're about to find out as Polo leading the train to 3 into the final corners. Let's watch how if the Mercedes can hold on in this final corner to give himself half a run. Last time he got really close. It's a little closer, but here we go, down the straightaway. Dil JG should be able to make the move and clear Polo, and he does. Here comes the Mercedes. Is he going to go for the move? Does he have to make the move? He's going to go for it. Into the inside goes Jordan. They almost touch. Off sits Polo. Polo slides up, hits the curb. Is Jordan going to do another switcheroo? Dil JG gets all kinds of messed up further ahead, but right now, can Jordan make a move? No, he can't. We're going to have to wait again.
Interesting to mention with Jordan's race, Lando. The top 3 teams in the Constructors have both cars running in the top 7, but the one outlier is RPL Jordan, who I think bumped into the back of Polo God right there. You have to give him the credit with what he's doing right now, but here's the thing. You got to be careful with trying to push along Polo here, because although you want to get the overtake done, you also want to have a chance to get Dill JG later in the process. That's the issue here for RPL Jordan, who's 3/10 back right now, and Polo is within DRS still, but only just. And speaking of DRS, we're about to get a race for our race lead. Hunted LAX, who had a horrible time here in the last time we were here at Spain in the Red Bull, the car that GTK is in. But GTK in the Mercedes, outperforming a few seasons ago. One of his first podiums back in Tier 2 came at this circuit, a 2nd place to Florian van Zelter. And right now, he's looking to not be 2nd best once again today. This time on the better strategy, has a chance to get the race lead. Hunted saving ERS, of course, compared to JTK. But the question now going to have to be, has Hunted saved his tires? And same with JTK. Kipu through for 7th. Very good performance from him, but the only problem is the penalty.
Yeah, it's all kicking off now, isn't it? Can the McLaren to Hunted hold on? How much prime life does this medium tire still give JTK? And it looks like it's giving him a whole bunch. As he doesn't need DRS. He's 9/10 out, but he's right there. He's getting ready for how risky of an overtake is this going to be? How much do you want to put on the line if you're JTK? You know every lap the hard tire could get better and better, but you have a significant tire advantage. I think you got to go for it. You're on a Red Bull. You have the freshest tires. You have a really darty car in a straight line. As here we go, shaping up through the final corner. Hunted all but keeps it within the track limits, and here we go, down the straightaway we go. He's getting closer. His red fire tire gets a 3-second time penalty. Never mind that. Here comes JTK. Peeping out of the slipstream, he's ever so close to that McLaren. It's game on now between the two of them.
Further on back, RPL Jordan boosting on the battery. Is he close enough to go on Polo God on the inside? He's not going to be close enough come the corner. Kipu and Blugagi are still close. You mentioned Red Fire's penalty. That may come into effect later if there's any issues for 10th, but Polo God is very vulnerable. Not close enough, though, for a move from RPL Jordan. We're going to go back to our race lead. JTK is closer and has the battery saved this time, both on medium. However, speaking of medium, JTK has 9 laps in those mediums compared to Hunted's 13 on the hards. So how will this play out? How will the dirty air also play out for JTK? He's already had to deal with it once from John, but now he's got the chance to pull off a race victory. And with this being the first weekend that he's going to get a new teammate in 2 races' time, with Mentucky, a previous teammate at Mercedes, now both of them being at Red Bull, you would like to show your teammate, this is what you can do with the car. You can take a car that is slower than the McLaren, but on a better strategy, and beat these guys. Here we are shaping up for a late race move. 5 laps to go next time by, but right now, JTK is closing 4/10 the gap, 3/10 the gap, almost down to 2, now down to 2, but a big moment. He slides into the corner, and he's still within DRS. The game is not over yet, but are the tires okay?
That was a big slide front. He not only locked up the rears, but he locked up the fronts, as this is all, now maybe could be swinging the advantage to the McLaren. Hunted. JTK getting all loosey-goosey. But right now, Dill JG and Polo ever so closely, but never mind. We got a battle for the win to watch. As JTK, can he get another go? I don't think you can wait anymore. You have to make a move into the turn 1. Your tires are starting to go. You're losing the peak grip that you had before. As Hunted almost goes off. It almost looked like the car bottomed out into this corner. How close can the Red Bull close up on the McLaren? Look at that! Rear locking from the McLaren, but you know, with this handling model, it doesn't seem to affect anybody. But now 3/10 the gap. This is the closest we've seen both drivers together. FBL with a 3-second time penalty. Here we go, down the main straight. JTK, this is his chance to strike. If he's gonna make the move, the winning move possibly, it's gotta be now.
DRS.
Down the front stretch we go. 4/10, half a second back now. Here we go, McLaren versus Red Bull. We see it in real life. We're gonna see it in the game. Are they gonna touch? No, they won't. JTK again holding back. Is he looking for the last lap move? I don't think that's right. I think you gotta go for it. You're wasting precious time.
If this was like last game, though, he would be in the better spot ERS-wise to do that. Hunted is on 75. JTK is on 95. Now charged up fully. I do think JTK is to go for it, Lando, but as maybe Hunted made a little bit of a mistake there in a turn 5, it closed JTK up again. I just have to say, though, just be careful. You don't want to put John into this race if Hunted does end up wearing his tires. With JTK's case, though, you gotta wonder, is he waiting for the right time in the DRS straight to wait and use all that battery? That's gonna be the difference. Hunted may have worse tires and maybe better tires at one point when JTK starts wearing again, but the difference with them two, when they get to the DRS straights, Hunted turns on the battery, JTK turns on the battery, but that extra speed from that rear wing being opened will benefit JTK more. Although these two mistakes have happened for JTK, Hunted had one, he now has the DRS, no ERS from him being used, but both on about a 20% deficit. No move this time, but I think it's going to have to come from the last 2 laps here.
It's got to come soon because this Red Bull's getting all over the place. Same with Hunted, both drivers giving their all. Red Bull versus McLaren, you love to see it further on. Back Polo still hasn't been able to pass till JG, and RPL Jordan just needs a little break of hope just to get a little scramble. And how about this? Kimbu's breaking out of 3 seconds on Goggy. This LP could finish P7 by the end of this Grand Prix. We look further ahead. We're going into another DRS zone. Hunted slightly going offline on JTK. And we go into
Kipper
here.
for driver of the day.
All nice and squabbly.
Something mentioned from the chat, by the way. 25 people watching.
You love to see it.
You do, and we're shaping up for a move maybe, Lendo. I think on the main straight, he's closed up to 3/10. He didn't make the mistake this time. He may have lost a 10th, but if he's making Hunted use a bit of battery like he did prior, then it will be game over. Hunted, though, saved it up. JTK saved it up. Equal playing ground now for our 2 race leaders. Main straight this time. DRS
this is really
applied.
just down to driver confidence. As here we go again down the straight. 3 laps
Hunted
to go in
boosting.
this Grand Prix.
Hunted had the boost right there just to try and hold on with the gap coming down, and the DRS as well being online for JTK. Remember, if anything happens with 1 and 2, John is 3.9 back. He also has 19 laps on those tires. I don't think he'll be puncture territory, but with the way this is going with these two, I wouldn't expect John to think he's completely out of it. Yellow flags for their back. That is the Haas of Rob, and also the Sauber lap car of FBL getting all out of shape. Will FBL play a big game for our race leaders in this when maybe getting one of these 2 DRS in the last lap? That is the thing that GTK wants least. That's why I say you got to make this move now.
Yeah, this is becoming now advantage Hunted. Oh my god, he almost wrecked it!
Wow.
As quickly as I said, advantage Hunted, he's almost bent it! And JTK can smell the blood in the water. He knows what time it is. It's hammer time as William and Rob are squabbling. But this is going to be really, really close. Hunted all over the place! This is the best shot for JTK. He needs to get this move done. 2 laps to go in the Spanish Grand Prix. Hunted does not have DRS. Down the main straight, here we go. McLaren versus Red Bull. But the McLaren's getting a toe up ahead. Here comes JTK. Getting. To the left, to the right. Through goes JTK.
He's done it!
Spanish Grand Prix. And he's done it.
2:13 into turn 1 is the mile per hour he reached, but he also reached the top spot in the process. He has a big moment. Hunted back through into the lead. But do you want to lead this race now becomes the question as Polo gets still JG. Big moment there from JTK, who got onto the curb, slid off, but now does the other Sauber or Girard get out of the way? Hunted goes wide there, though, for a moment. That's going to allow GTK to close up once again.
So much has happened. JTK got on the inside curb at turn 3 and almost lost the rear end. But now, here we go, another attack. But look at this. The McLaren's going to have DRS, but the rear end of that McLaren's all over the place. Straight line, DRS versus DRS. Red Bull versus McLaren into final quantum.
Oh!
JTK slide jump.
Hunted's got damage.
Touch Martin.
Hunted's got damage. JTK did the same thing he did last week. Broke lead again, sent it, and he rear locked it, and it cut in front of Hunted. Drama between Red Bull and McLaren, just like real life in Austria. 1 lap to go, though. JTK does not have the DRS, but Hunted has the better ERS and the DRS. Hunted coming, gaining, now left, outside line.
Into turn 1. Oh my god, what is going to happen? Through turn 2, the McLaren to Hunted. It's been a tremendous fight, but it's led in disaster. JTK almost wrecks it. Through into sector 2. Here we go for the final time. Is JTK gonna go for another slide jump? No, he's not. He's gonna get a crossover. He's got a half a wing more than Hunted into turn 5.
Ooh.
Oh, so close.
This race has drama piled onto it, Lando. The car that's in front has damage. The car that's behind is trying to extend the championship lead. One last chance, maybe.
This is it. One last hurrah. Into turn 9. Well, not turn 9. He's going to go all the way to the inside and touch sidebud versus sidebud. JTK misses the corner. Through goes Hunt into the Grand Prix.
Scintillating battling in the last few laps. It's allowed Hunted to go through, and Hunted, your season 10 champion, has not won since the last race in the championship, but today he ends that drought to the line. Hunted wins for the 5th time in Tier 2 after a remarkable last few laps to the race. Hunted wins the Spanish Grand Prix and ends a 3-season drought. John 3rd, JTK 2nd, which extends the championship lead. Dill JG 4th, Polo God 5th, Jordan is 6th. Kipu hangs on for 7th. Driver of the day, in my opinion.
Absolutely stunning job by the Alpine. What a race this has been. Again, I'm in the booth, and it causes another tremendous amount of racing. Goggy finishes 8th for Red Bull. It's bittersweet. I think this is going to be a bittersweet end for Red Bull's race this weekend as SR William, the last one to finish P11, coming to the line. It's been a decent race for the both B cars, obviously. Not the way they wanted it, but what a race, Ryan, that we've witnessed again in RPL.
Charlie, points on debut. Another driver of the day shout out. Red Fire Tiger recovered for 10th. William, just the one outside the points. Every driver finishes this race that was still in it past lap 25 there. Crazy stuff there at the end. Even Hunted said to JTK, GG gave me wing damage as well, but I'm sure them two enjoyed it. And even if there is anything submitted, I would only assume it'd be for the case of John, who gained at the end there. Maybe could gain a spot for the JTK Hunted incident if it does get submitted. I'm sure those two not too unhappy about it, but happy with the outcome and the fun battle. Insane last lap.
That was the greatest 4 laps I think ever I've seen on an F1 game. The amount of just mistakes from both drivers, especially. I mean, JTK could have won this race with 3 laps to go when he made that move, but he got on the curb, got loose, and that just awoke and Hunted again. The medium tires fell off right at the very end, just as I predicted. But how
Final
about
results
that?
here.
McLaren saved the day again with Hunted rounding the top of the podium.
And I think, if I'm correct, it was 19 points between them and Ferrari prior to this event. I think they do take the championship lead over Ferrari. I am correct. Yep. They gained 18. That's all they know. Actually, they only are 1 behind, if I'm correct now. 40 compared to what, 22? Yeah, here are your final results. Let's give it to you now here. Charlie gained from his starting spot. William did too. So did Kipu. Jordan. A lot of impressive races. 1, 2, 3 finished where they started. And we lost 5 from this race. Yeah, so 22 versus 40, that's 18. Yeah, so McLaren are 1 point behind. And Red Bull, who finished, what, 2nd and 8th, though? I think they are in a similar boat to McLaren here, where they'd still be behind Ferrari, and they'd still be in 3rd right there. Your final results just popped up on our screen, but we're not done just yet. We have post-race interviews to conduct with our race winner, Hunted, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about that one.
I hope he does, because I'm out of breath. What a Grand Prix. Again,
I'm so glad I had water left. I'm so glad I had water left. I didn't think I would.
Spain doesn't disappoint, ever. What a Grand Prix. What a job by both of them.
Just a reminder for those of you clicking off stream now, before we get into our interview with Hunted, we have F2 at Britain tomorrow, F1 at Japan tomorrow as well to end off the weekend, then Tier 3 in Hungary. And Tier 2 guys will also go to a track that was a lot of fun a few seasons ago in Spa.
Oh man. Love a little Spa.
I love that. I really did. And I also, another shout out to Jordan again, because Red Bull let him go and he finished ahead of a Red Bull car. And that has to be credited to Jordan's case, because he was the only driver in the top 8 outside of Kipu who had both was not part of both cars that were in the top 3 in the constructors prior to this race. So yeah, fair credit to RPL Jordan once again for his race. But we got to ask about Hunted's race now. Hunted, What a remarkable last few laps. Make sure your audio is included, but you return to the top step of the podium in Tier 2 for the first time since the end of Season 10. That drought that you had of not winning races like you had in Canada, where you came back from the hospital and won the race on track, but the penalties being applied costed you. Austria, the same thing there. Technically twice. A lot of things happened in the last 3 seasons, well, technically 2.5 if we're being exact, that prevented you from being on the top step since you won the championship in Season 10. How good does it feel to be back? And tell us about those last 4 laps, which were absolutely wild.
It feels a lot better to win in that way, because there was a genuine fight at the end, which it could have gone either way. There's obviously been a drought in wins since the end in Brazil, where I didn't even win on track. I won the steward's office, so I think my last real win that stood on track was Qatar on last game. So it feels good to be back in the top step. But I could have made that race a little bit easier for myself. But I decided to make a different strategy call during the race, so I kind of brought it upon myself. But no, it was a lot of fun. Those last few laps, I knew JTK was going to catch me inevitably. I knew that he was going to have drop off very, very similar time as me on his mediums as well as my hards, so I knew we weren't going to be too split on pace. It was just a case of just trying to keep it sensible. I got wing damage on the penultimate lap, or the 2 laps. I don't know. One of the 2. I got wing damage on JTK, slung it up my inside and locked his rears. So it was hard trying to hold on to the win and hold on to keeping with him in that with that going on. So it was, but either way around, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun the race in general, especially at the start with me and John just kind of going off of each other. But fair play to JTK, he's put in a real stint and a very hard fight to the end.
It was a crazy one for sure. It cannot be mentioned that enough more than already has been the drought that you had prior, which again makes me say congrats on the win, because that was absolutely fun stuff late in the race there. Lando, any questions for our race winner, Hunted?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, those last 8 laps when JTK, got by your teammate, did you have an idea on when the tire fall off was coming, or if it was even going to come? Because he was gaining so much, and it seemed like in the last 3 laps, the advantage really just started to switch on to you, because as much as you were sliding, he was sliding even more. So did you just predict that, did you think that the tires would fall off as quickly as they did, or do you think he would have had a little more in the tank, though?
I know from my experience on mediums that they drop off around about lap 13 is really. If you watch back to the start on my lap 13 and lap 12 and stuff, you'll see that JTK on the hards really starts to gain in on me, and that's what I knew we were going to start seeing a drop off from JTK. So at that point, I knew we were going to kind of have a very, very similar set of tyres with my hards, probably being a little bit better than his mediums, but him really, really pushing. I knew he was going to experience a drop off, and it was going to be a little bit harder for him to keep it in a straight line and not have as many slides through the corners and stuff. So I had that advantage on my side. So yeah, I did know when he was going to have his drop off.
Yeah, and do you think again, you said you changed your strategy? Do you think either way, you think you had the control of the race once you started seeing JTK starting to slide around? Because it really did seem like you just had control. You were managing your battery when he was managing his battery. You were pushing with him. He was pushing with you. It just seemed like no matter what JTK did, you always had a counter attack just in case. And especially on that last lap, you had just enough battery to get right by him and sweep around there on the last lap.
Yeah, I knew I had the pace without necessarily having to stick it in hot lap and push at the same time. It was kind of just like an inevitable game of, look, he's going to catch me. I want to make sure that I have the battery there to be able to fight for the win. Just for once in my life, I decided not to go outside of the white lines and get myself a penalty. So it was just a case of Jack in the party as well, saying what battery he was on. But it's a case of you can tell when he's pushing and when he's not pushing, and when he's gaining and when he's saving. So it was just trying to maintain the gap and be 100% by the time he caught up to me, just so I'd be able to fight him up until the last lap.
Yeah, I mean, you gave not only me and Ryan a heart attack with the amount of racing that happened between you two, but I think you gave the viewers and everybody at home just a great race. I think it was clean. There was some moments where I was like, is that gonna work? But you know what? You came out on top. Hell of a drive from you, and hopefully next week you can do the same. Because that was really damn good from you. Top job.
Ryan knows I'm not going to be here next week, so
No!
I think it's my final race in Tier 2, so it's nice to go out
There's
with
the
a win.
announcement.
No!
Nice to go out with a win, but no more racing in Tier 2 for me.
Oh. Well,
There you go.
when you're up in Tier 1, you better be doing the exact same thing you did in Tier 2, because let me tell you, that was beautiful. Everything you did was perfect. Top
Who says I'm
job.
going to Tier 1? Man, I'm going down to Tier 3.
No! Okay, then you leave with me.
No, yeah.
Hey, if you come back to Tier 2, then maybe you can beat Reese's record now of most polls, because you tied that today earlier as well.
Oh, no, I can't not have that constant side.
He's
Oh,
retiring.
that's a joke. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. Oh, quality as well. Absolute nightmare. I had to do 3 laps on those softs. And I started the lap on 1.05% of fuel.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my.
Wow.
And then I had John blocking me for over half the lap. And I was still managing to like creep up and just seeing the green, and I'm like, it can't affect me this much, can it? And going into like the left-hander
caught
into
the full
sector
lap.
3. Going into
I
left-hander in
wish I
sector
caught the
3.
lap as a whole.
Yeah, I went wide, and he was giving me dirty air through the hairpins. And then he started to pull into the pits and went, oh, hang on a second, Hunter's behind me. I'll get a little bit of slipstream going up towards the line. So I was like, oh yeah, sound mate, but you have just cost me about a tenth and a half somewhere here.
Well, I have to mention to you one final question, if you don't mind, before we end off the stream. If you're still in F1, go to the fan zone, press X on your controller, I believe it is. Which driver do you think, we're going to ask this, we're going to be funny. Which driver do you think is going to end up finishing ahead in the British Grand Prix? Is it going to be Lewis Hamilton, or is it going to be this man in the party here? Well, instead the real one, Lando Norris.
I haven't completed my fan zone thing, so.
Oh, you probably
but
can see that though. You probably could vote, right?
No, I can't. Are you telling me who I think's going to finish? Who's going
Yeah,
to finish ahead
that's
in
the Grand Prix question. It has the Grand Prix question on the screen.
Okay.
I can't see it on the RPL stream account, but Hamilton or Norris, which one
Look,
will finish
I'm
ahead?
I'm a Battlefield Bottas fan, but I'm also a Hamilton fan. I've got a lot of love for Lando Norris. I'm gonna be there on Sunday, and I don't think Mercedes have the pace to do it. So I would love to see Lando Norris do it. When Lando took the lead last year and being sat there, that you could just feel the whole of Silverstone just shake, just purely erupt as soon as he took the lead. So I want to see something like that again.
Well,
So
it's good to
I'd
know
have
your
to pick
experience in
Lando Norris
Silverstone, that you'll be there. I guess you'll have a reason to be happy with this weekend, with the way it's going in RPL, and then going to Silverstone for sure.
No, I was supposed to be there today as well. I was supposed to be there yesterday. I just got pulled into work. I can't go. It's so much money, and I'm not there. I'm not going to go tomorrow. Even.
Wow. Well,
Hotel gave me a
once
refund.
again, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Lando, any final congratulatory thoughts or anything like that?
No, that was incredible. Everything he did was perfect. Top job.
You still sound like shocked. You sound like physically.
I am. What?
I think we all do.
It's surprising. I'm shocked because one, I've never seen a battle on an F1 game go that, I guess somewhat clean for that many laps.
Well, I did ask the Twitch chat any questions for Hunted. I'm going to have Invade ask the question he asked in your DM, Hunted, because I don't think that is PG appropriate for the stream. But
What's he asked me?
something about a size of something. Anyway, I'll let Invade DM you that. Either way, I'm sure it's
I'm a grown, not sure, my guy.
I'm sure it's gained an inch after that last lap.
Oh my
But either way, Lando, we have F2 and F1 tomorrow to end off the weekend. F2 in Silverstone and F1 in Japan. This should be tons of fun to end off the weekend. Thank you for joining me, Lando, for tonight's event. Ryan Searles, your commentator. And as always, we will see you next time, whether it be tomorrow for F2 or F1 or next week in Tier 2 for Spa. Have a good night.
Wait,
See you then.
wait.
What? What?
Who's driver of the day?
I was gonna give it to Kipu or the Haas.
End the stream.
Okay.